All right, guys. Welcome to another episode of 5 Minutes with Mike. Today is a day of reckoning. And if we don't start to realize what's going on when it comes down to the United States Constitution and infringement of our rights, then we'll be just like any other particular authoritarian country that's been taken over by a rogue government. Don Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles, California. We'll talk about it in a minute. This is 5 Minutes with Mike. Our news, our voice, our issues. Believe that. All right, guys, this is the news that's been breaking the internet currently. Don Lemon and the Lemonhead family is actively talking about the fact that Don Lemon was arrested. A journalist was arrested practicing his First Amendment right of free speech because of the fact that he went in and observed a particular individuals, protesters that went into a particular church in Minnesota, and he live streamed, what was taking place. During that time, Don Lemon, he interviewed a couple of different people, that was in the church, that were the protesters. And of course, the protest itself made people uncomfortable, right? But that's what protest does. It makes people uncomfortable. Some of the individuals that were part of this particular thing, the protesters themselves were arrested, right, by the federal government. And the federal government is using what's called the FEDS Act when it means that you can't interrupt, you can't block someone from being able to have an abortion, and you can't interrupt basically a church service in regards to this particular act that was passed. So that's what they're using. The feds are using that in lieu of the arrest of the protesters that were there. But Don Lemon, he was not a protester. He was there as a journalist, an independent journalist, to observe what was happening. He wasn't rallying the protesters. He wasn't like, yeah, go get them. Yeah, say this. Yeah, equal rights. Yeah, we hate ICE. He wasn't doing none of that stuff. He was just there interviewing people as journalists do, as what he was doing for over 20 plus years at CNN. He did the same thing that he does now and his Don Lemon show. So definitely, guys, you can go ahead and support Don Lemon as well. Make sure you go out and subscribe to Don Lemon's page. I'll definitely make sure I have the link below if you don't know. But at the end of the day, he's still right now in custody of the federal government. And we don't know because as of this recording, we don't know the exact charges that the feds are bringing against Don. Now, there were two judges that threw out the case that the feds had previously to try to get Don on, particular charges, and those charges they were thrown out. But of course, Donald Trump and his minions, Pam Bondi and the likes, were aggressively seeking another way to get at Don, basically, to circumvent what the judges have said to get at Don. So what they did was they went and got a grand jury indictment. So once again, at the time of this recording and publication, there has not been any reference to exactly what he's been charged. That will be unsealed when the indictment, when they read out the jury indictment that was taking place that happened against him. But what we do know is, obviously, the feds are coming after him, right? They're not just coming; they already did. Not just him. There was a young lady, a journalist, award-winning journalist named Georgia Fort. She was also arrested. The feds were at her house. The FBI came there, said they had a warrant. She's also been arrested. Okay, both are black individuals. Okay, Don is of the LGBTQ community as well, right? He's black, he's LGBTQ, he don't like Trump don't like him, and yet again, ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing a playbook, of course, out of Project 2025 that. This episode of 5 Minutes with Mike is brought to you by Michael D. Beckford's newest book, HOMEBOYS. Everybody has a homeboy, or friends call his own. The best friend you kick it with at the family barbecue. The one you trust to bring around your lady without raising a red flag. A homeboy will play video games, smoke, and chill. A homeboy is a nigga you can ride or die, and the one you sleep with on the low. HOMEBOYS, available in ebook and paperback or wherever books are sold. That Kamala Harris warned us about and many others warned us about that was taking fold. And until people start to wake up and pay attention, guys, this can happen to anyone, including myself. I am not happy with this administration. I don't like the man in the White House, right? I don't like him. I think he's a thug. I think he's a bully. I think that he's obviously he's a criminal. He's a convicted criminal, right? With the different charges he has, and most likely he's going to go down as the most corrupt president in the United States. This dude has no guardrails. He has no guardrails because there's no one. Congress is basically like just very inept. They're just there to write checks for his ambitions. And why do I say that? Because when it came down to ICE has had a $175 billion budget that was passed. That's more money than most militaries. Okay? So for Trump's secret police, well, and I say secret because they got masks on, and some may refer to them as Gestapos or browncoats, right? Trump's secret police has $175 billion of our tax dollars to violate our civil rights. Right? We all know, of course, about the fatal incidents, unaliving of Alex Preddy, the unaliving of Renee Good, and there was also a black man, I can't think of his name right now, that was also unalived by ICE. The difference between those three incidents is the two, Alex and Renee, were recorded. The other incident that involved the black man that was unalived, we don't have any visual video of that. But it did happen. It happened around New Year's, okay? Not too many people talk about it, but it did. So that's 3 American citizens that were unalived by ICE, okay? Or individuals part of Border Patrol, Department of Homeland Security, right? 3 individuals, American citizens, okay? So this is only going to get worse. Guys, if you look at what happened with Russia at one point used to be an open democracy. Now is obviously an open dictatorship and or authoritarian. They have their elections, if they still do have elections, they're just for front. At the end of the day, as long as Putin is alive and kicking, Putin's going to get elected. All right? Point blank, period. So the things that we're seeing when it comes down to, it's like people are like still asleep. And black people have been telling you guys this all along. Wake the F up, bro. Like, wake the F up. And black people, you guys got to get back woken up. Because these atrocities, that, of course, we've been experiencing atrocities since the time we got here off these damn boats, right? We've experienced atrocities. And then people always say, oh, get over it. Well, nobody gets over a lot of different major events that's happened in the United States. Like 9/11, we will always remember, okay? And obviously the Holocaust. Everybody always remembers those events. We always remember that happening in Hiroshima. We always got to remember those things. But when it comes down to slavery, it's, get over it. But the fact remains that because of chattel slavery that happened in the United States, this thing basically took on another form in the DNA of black people, which is another reason why blacks generally tend to live a lesser lifespan than our white counterparts. Our financial functions are obviously quite less than what our white counterparts are because of the fact that they had a major 400 plus year head start when it came down to economics in America. That was wealth that was passed on, passed down, right? And then now we have this rogue president, Trump, that's trying to get $10 billion from the IRS at this point. I mean, it's just crazy. So what's happening right now with the feds, the United States government, they don't like truth tellers. They don't like truth seekers, especially when it comes down to this particular administration. Don Lemon's a truth seeker, a truth teller, and they're holding him for that. He should not be in jail, okay? He should not be in jail. He should not have been held by any particular authority over him practicing his right as a journalist when it comes down to free speech. This is a major developing issue, guys, and it's only going to become a bigger issue because of the fact that all of our rights are being infringed upon right now. And if it happens to Don Lemon, it can happen to anyone. The United States that I grew up knowing, the United States that most of you listening that grew up watching and understanding, is not the United States of today. And this, unless there's some true checks and balances on power, boy, we got some big problems. We got some major problems going to happen. And one of the biggest checks and balances that we've always had is the media. Like it or not, hate it or love it, has been the media, has been a major, biggest checks and balances on federal government. But because of the fact that Donald Trump also has been suing the major media outlets in his pursuit of vengeance, essentially, a lot of media outlets are starting to be coy, to pull back on their criticism here. Look at CBS. CBS is basically a new Fox News, okay? Allegedly, I should say. But you start to look at some of the reporting, it's the new Fox, right? They got new ownership, they got new agenda, and primarily it's because of Donald Trump's grievances, right? So, guys, listen, definitely, like I said, please like and subscribe to this channel. And if you get an opportunity, support Don Lemon's channel as well. Otherwise, guys, please leave your comments down below. And, man, let's just pray for Don Lemon. Let's pray for Georgia Ford and any other journalists and individuals out there that's protesting that their rights are protected. Have a great day. Some of your favorite books from the creative mind of Michael D. Beckford are coming soon to quicklit.com.